The goal of this project was to design a virtual reality environment as a scaffold to address the gap formed between the classroom learning and real practice. This work in progress paper describes a 360 VR environment that immerses the student in a typical New York City neighborhood. Students completed a pre- and post-test survey and diagnostic as part of this project. While many learning theories may be called to support the use of virtual reality, we narrowed this selection to situated learning theory that views learning as connected to real contexts in a community of practice. The design situates the learning in the Lower East Side, an area of New York City frequented by social work master students completing the field requirements of their curriculum. The Lower East Side was chosen as a focus because of its demographic diversity, immigration history, social resources, and its connection to the settlement house movement, each an important facet within social work. The design allows learners to choose and decide their own pathway. Guided questions embedded in the environment provided additional means for reflection and active learning that allows the learner to resolve cognitive discrepancies between prior knowledge and new experiences, revise their schema, and make sense of what they observe. We used an iterative form of the ADDIE instructional design process model. Specifically, we A. analyzed the need for the environment, D. designed the learning objectives, created a script, produced the 3D imagery, and D. developed the virtual reality environment using Wanda VR, I. implemented the design with students, and E. evaluated the project with pre- and post surveys and tests. The 360 simulation starts with the disembarkation from the F train at the Fourth Site subway station and ending with a sidewalk view of Orchard Street. The VR simulation is approximately 12 minutes in duration and includes an instructional guide, learning objectives, content chapters, an introduction, and 17 navigable and interactive scenes. Each scene contains verbal and textual dialogues as well as a situational map. Reflective guided questions and hotspots are presented throughout to guide students to think critically about the population inhabiting the Lower East Side, the community landscape and data points, including demography, mental health, and housing. One of the several reflective guided questions embedded in the experiences is, as you stand on the train platform, what do you notice about the people that are around you? Think about the transportation resources that are available for your client in this neighborhood. Another question asks with clickable hotspot is, review the statistics on both poverty and median incomes. In your opinion, how does the community reflect the statistics, particularly as it relates to the current photo clip? And another guided question asks, a sociopedal space encourages social interactions. Identify the name two such spaces on Grand Street. How might these be used for young and older clients? An experimental design conducted in a lab setting guided the investigation for this pilot project. The study covered the topic in community field observation and assessment. 30 graduate students enrolled in NYU Silver School of Social Work consented to participate in the project. Their data was anonymized using unique identifiers prior to analysis. Instruments included in this project included a virtual reality simulation, a pre-test and survey, and post-test survey. There were 30 participants in the pilot study and consisted mainly of females, 80%. The majority were enrolled in a 2-year graduate program and from the United States. Due to time limitations, we'll focus on a few salient points from the post-survey. Participants were surveyed 4 questions about their perceptions on how immersed they felt during the virtual reality experience. Overall, perceptions on immersion were rated very high. 28.3% strongly agreed that they felt immersed, 42.5% agreed that they felt immersed, 20.8% somewhat agreed that they felt immersed, 5% only somewhat disagreed, and 3.3 disagreed. The survey also asked 8 questions concerning participants' perceptions of the impact of guided reflected questions embedded in the experience on their learning. Using a 5-point scale, students perceived the questions to help them feel engaged, thoughtful, helpful to understanding related practice concepts, challenging, fun, and confident to apply practice concepts and skills in real-world settings. Overall results on the guided questions during the virtual reality experience rated very high. We can see that with a mean of 5.72 and a standard deviation of 1.21. Participants also completed a pre- and post-test to address the research question, does a virtual reality simulation impact student learning of a community environment? To observe differences between pre- and post-tests, Wilcox-signed rank tests and t-tests were performed on performance measures, and both tests showed similar statistically significant results. Participants scored an average of 18.43 with a standard deviation of 3.2 on pre-tests compared to an average of 22.5, standard deviation of 2.8 on the post-test. The t-test comparing pre-post test averages outcomes revealed a statistically significant difference, suggesting that the 360 virtual reality experience positively impacted learning. Since the study was conducted in a lab setting, future studies will evaluate the virtual reality experience in a classroom, as well as compare it to visiting more real-world complex environments. Thank you for listening.